Okay, hi, this is Tawny from Endeavor Creative with Sandra from Conversion Minded.
Oh, we're back.
Yay! So now we're going to talk about how to get set up on Pinterest if you're a business and the difference between what you might remember or know about Pinterest, which is usually a personal account. But there's a way to set it up for a brand or for a business as well.
Yeah, definitely. So the thing is that I think that part of that misconception that we were talking about in, you know, before comes from this personal aspect to it that a lot of people think that it's all for your personal ideas, and if you have some decorating ideas, you throw some pins up, you share some content, or you look for recipes. And when you start using it for business, you have to change your mindset and really leave that personal stuff for a personal account. And so this is where it's kind of like having a Facebook profile and having a Facebook business page. You want to have you just be sharing your personal things on your profile. Likewise, over on Pinterest, you want to just be sharing personal pins on your personal account, because the shift here comes from not sharing what you really love, but starting to share from a business perspective what your audience really loves and what they want to about and what they want to see. So it's kind of, you have to create a business account to do this. And that business account is not only going to allow you to start resonating with your audience and attracting your audience, because you're going to set up boards specific to what your audience wants to know about. But also you can do things like you can advertise, you can get those rich pins, which will help you with that branding so that you see your business will be attached to your pin. And also you will have the ability to see analytics. And analytics is a huge part of the Pinterest strategy and making it work for you. So you definitely, if you have a personal account now, you want to change it over, either change it over to a business or create an entirely new account for your business. But the bottom line is you want to clear out your personal pins or your personal boards.
Right.
Just focus on business. I do have some personal boards at the very bottom of my boards. I kind of tuck
away. Yeah, me too.
What you want people to primarily see is it should be all topics and themes that they would be interested in, not you. So instead of like sharing a pattern that you love, well, I'm into sewing, so that's what I would do. I would look for patterns that you can sew, or like cool clothing ideas or arts and craftsy things. Instead, you start sharing you start sharing content that you really think would be helpful for your audience. So it's a shift in your thinking away from what you like to what your audience likes.
Yeah, so it's more like content curation, and it's
like
not about you anymore. You got to give it.
Yeah, you have to think about your potential clients. Yeah.
So let's see it. Yeah, let's see it in action. I think it's easier to get a visual, so I thought we could share the screen.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Make that work. Okay. So let me know if you can see what
I can see it. Yeah.
Are you seeing my Pinterest account here?
Yep.
Super. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to I'll start with my board.
Sure.
And we can go visit your board too. So,
beautiful.
So let's just talk through this.
Yeah, so this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like you see, these are all boards.
Oops.
Yeah. No phone call. These are all boards, and you can see like over here, which I love, right there, you have the endeavorcreative.com. So that's the first thing that you want to do, is you want to have a brand board, which is where you would share your content to first. So this is a brand board that's all your own pins.
Right.
Your other boards that have other people's pins too, where you are doing that curating the content, but your brand board is really where people are going to come and see what you've pinned. And then here, okay, so you have some other pins here, but they're all related to this one topic of branding, right? So you're curating and you're finding things that you think would appeal to your audience. And then, and what I love also is that you have this really good combo of broad boards, like over here, you have the online business tips, you have the social media tips, you have blogging resources, But then you also have like the brand Breedly. So that's like a little bit more niche, right? It's like getting to the branding aspect of it. So you want to kind of have, I guess, just a myriad of boards that are related to your audience, but some of them can be more broad, and then some of them you really want to niche down and get very, very hyper focused on what that board is about. So I love this, and your boards look beautiful. So that's an example of, you know, how you should really be setting up your boards. All of the topics, all of your boards are going to be about what your audience wants.
So look at how pretty yours is.
Hey, we have a similar color scheme.
I think I went a little bit more on the tacky side, which my friends say is colorful, but you know, borderline, no.
So yeah, you can see here, I have a similar thing going on. I have conversion-minded pins over here on the left, and that's always where I share my pins first. And then I have a best of, so I'm kind of also curating my, you know, best ofs, because as a rule, you don't want to get into the habit of deleting your own pins, but you're going to find some that your audience resonates with a little bit more. So I put them into a best of board. If you keep scrolling here, you'll see I have a similar thing happening to what Tawny had, where I get into, like, as for instance, if you can just scroll up a little bit back to, to the Twitter tips and the Pinterest marketing. So this is what I'm talking about with getting a little bit more specific. So I have a social media board, but I also then drill down on each channel, and I have Twitter tips, and I have Pinterest marketing, and I have Facebook, and I have Instagram. So only pins related to those different social channels would go into each of those. Whereas for my social media board, I can put all of them in, if that makes sense.
So I think that's really smart. I've, you know, as you know, I've changed my boards to be big boards, and then I have different sections. And I don't know if I like that, because these niche boards allow you to also put your keywords right in the description.
You have an opportunity to get very focused with your keywords too.
So that helps.
I mean, I think those bigger boards are good, but I do really, I mean, do that in addition to the niche boards, because that's such better targeting. So that's pretty much the way to do it, and to keep it very focused on your audience. And then some of these down here are group boards. And they're also all related to my target audience. So
tell us about group boards. So I'm just going to open one up.
Group boards are super cool because group boards are generally owned by somebody, and then they have multiple contributors. So you can have multiple people sharing content to these group boards, and that leverages that social bookmarking aspect of Pinterest that we were talking about, where what happens is a lot of people then start, you know, you can see that with multiple contributors, they're sharing their curated content, they're sharing their own content, and they could possibly, very possibly, start sharing your content from here. So a way for you to reach a much wider, broader audience. And they're a big aspect to one of the other things that I love about Pinterest, which is that you don't have to spend hours and hours growing your own following just to get some traffic.
Right.
It's a community aspect to it, coupled with that evergreen component where your pins can last a very long time, and you can really start driving traffic with just having a handful of followers. Totally different than Facebook or Instagram. With Facebook or Instagram, you know, it's mostly your followers and the people who like your page who are going to start seeing your content. And that means you have to put so much effort and work into growing that platform, your follower base, but you don't have to really I mean, it's always a good idea to build your following, but you're going to start seeing results just by following the right strategies on Pinterest without having to be in there and follow other people and engage and comment and do all of these other things that you have to do. You know, be social, right?
Yeah, you don't have to be social, but you do form like little groups, and you get to know, you know, on some of these group boards, like I begin to recognize, you know, I know who this person is, and this is one of mine. I know who I am.
See, and that's the thing that we were talking about, is how you can start to build a brand, because when you really share pins and you stay consistent with your own branding, you're going to get people clicking on your pins because they recognize it as being you.
Right.
And like your titles and everything, the headlines that you use for your pins are so important. But if people know and they instantly recognize your brand, they're going to be likely to click through simply because they recognize that it's coming from you, and they start to recognize that you are quality, and they want to see what you have to say. So that's a huge aspect, and that's what you don't really have on Google, right? You don't really have that on Google because it's just text, and you really have to grab people with just that title. But you don't, it's a lot harder, I think, to build a brand than it is on Pinterest because of that visual component.
For sure.
Really. Mm-hmm. So that's it. So this is really what you want to start doing, and definitely get away from the personal and get into the business component. Think about your audience, create boards that your audience would be interested in. And that's going to be the first way to set yourself up for real Pinterest traffic. That's really how you're going to start setting your Pinterest account up for traffic and profits. That's a big deal, is to start just shifting your own thinking over to what does my audience want, and how can I create boards and curate content and share my own content around those topics.
So anything else about setting up your business account that people should know about? Like where to start or what they need to do? I think you have to have a personal account first.
Yes, you want a personal account, and then you're going to change it over to a business account. It's very simple to do it. You'll see it when you have your account. You'll see you can change it over to a business account in your settings, and then you have to go through a little process where they verify your website, and that's a 1, 2, 3, and then I think it happens within a day for sure. So
I remember
it's not a big deal to do. A lot of people kind of find it daunting, but it's not a big deal at all.
Yeah, I remember it being really easy. And then when you come back, then you notice that you have analytics, which I'm obsessed with. I always say, if you're not working with analytics, you're just stabbing in the dark. Like you have to be looking at what's happening with all of these things that you're doing to drive traffic and to, attract your clients. So then you get access to that, and that's super valuable. It's really helped me to kind of, continue.
Yeah, those analytics are what's going to help you really drive your strategy. You're going to be looking at that. And this is where I find when people say, well, I'm using Pinterest and I'm not getting traffic. There's a number of things that, you start looking at. And the first thing is like, where are you sharing your pins? How are you sharing your content? And what do your analytics look like? What's happening? And, when people are not getting traffic, it's like usually because they're pinning and they're just hoping for the best. And that's not something that you want to do. You want to start knowing what content is really resonating. You want to be able to leverage that then to create more content like it. You want to take a look at the pins that are working, and then start to analyze what's happening, analyze the boards that are powerful for you, that are driving traffic. And I think this is the big thing, with Pinterest that people don't realize, is that group boards are really powerful, but if you use them the wrong way, they can start to work against you, because Pinterest is kind of up on the fact that people are leveraging group boards to drive traffic. So they're watching now to make sure that the engagement levels are high. So if you don't have high engagement on group boards, then it's going to start working against you. So you don't want to just like join a gazillion group boards and just be like, yay, I'm going to start getting traffic immediately. There's a strategy to it. You have to be, mindful of that strategy, and you have to be looking at those analytics. So that's a big, big reason why you need that business account too.
So just a bit of feedback for you. When I took your course, that was one of the things that I changed, because I was really plateauing. Like I was excited because when I first started, I couldn't get anybody to share a pin. Like I just didn't know what I was doing wrong. And then I had some better luck, and I started driving traffic with it. And then I sort of plateaued. And those tips that you shared in your course really helped to set a stronger foundation and to understand much, much better how that smart feed really works. So I was just like sharing to every group board I could, and I was sharing, I was taking all the advice I was learning on all the blog posts.
Playtime, like and that's not.
And it was wrong. Everything that I was learning was wrong, and I was doing it backwards.
Still gotta have that strategy, so yeah.
Yeah, so it definitely made a difference, and I can see my results are going in the right direction, and I'm seeing a lot more engagement and traffic.
That's awesome.
This is a great place to wrap up this video, and in the next video, let's get deeper into that traffic strategy and how you plan for that.
Yeah, totally. You need to have a strategy. Yeah, I'm psyched about that one. I can't wait.
Okay, we'll see you.
Okay, see you then.